Hey everyone. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about using Slack thread conversations as a memory for your chatbot or for your AI agent. So what does conversational memory mean, right? Basically, when you ask a question to chatbot and you want to do a follow-up question, you don't want to give the full context over and over again. You want the chatbot to be able to recall from what happened in the previously in the conversation. So here's an example. This is a conversation I'm having with Asimo of a product that we're building for Slack assistants. I just asked it hello, and then just it greeted me, and then I told it I have a pet cat and her name is Milky Way, and it responds with something, and then I asked it what is the name of my pet cat, and it was able to recall the same, right? So this is what I'm talking about. This is basically what conversational memory mean, right? I have another example here. This is another thread, and if I open this here, I just said hi. It gave me some greeting message, and then I asked it what is the name of my pet cat, and it just said it appears there is no result for Slack workspace regarding this. So it was not able to figure out the name of my cat because I have not given it information in this thread. So why it was able to understand this and why it was not able to respond here? So because the way we have implemented for Asimo our product, and the way we have implemented memory is by keeping the memory only on one specific Slack thread. So if you have worked with Slack, you know that for any conversation or any message that you send directly on a channel or on a DM, each of them has a potential to become a thread. And if you reply on any of those messages, it actually opens up that thread, right? So to demonstrate that, let me show you this diagram. So this is a typical public channel conversation screenshot, and these are the three places. This is a place where you see all the Slack channel list. This is the main Slack channel messages, and you can get all the messages in your channel directly using conversation.history API. This is Slack API, web API, right? And for any particular message, you can actually get the thread reply by calling conversations.reply API. So this is what I'm talking about. We have not only all the conversation messages, but we also have each of the thread messages. And the way we have implemented memory for this particular bot is by adding all the or most of the conversation that is happening in a specific thread. So this is how we have organized it. This is how the Slack data model works. And the reason that we want to organize the memory, specifically the conversation memory in this manner, is because whenever you are having any Slack conversation with your team, you basically write a message in the main channel, and then basically you open a thread and you have some more replies and you have more conversation around that topic. I know there are other teams as well which use Slack in a bit differently. Some people and some teams I've seen that they communicate directly on the Slack as well. But for us, we organize, and I think a lot more other teams as well, as they become more proficient in using Slack and team communication software like that, they primarily organize their conversation topic in these threads, right? So that is why we thought that that is the right way to start. That is the right way to start building these conversational memory for our AI agent. So what it does basically is when within a Slack thread, whatever conversation it has had, they are basically, this is a group chat. So this is a DM. If I give an example of a public channel, you can see there is actually conversation going on in different threads. So this is an example of a DM conversation with Asimov directly, but same applies to the a public channel conversation as well. If you are having conversation within the public channel, there will be multiple participants who will be talking on the same thread. So it can basically fetch all those information, all those replies in a specific thread and keep it as part of a temporary or short-term memory that it can utilize when responding on that specific thread. So that is the example. That is the thing which makes it, I think, a bit more smart and a bit more contextually aware, right? So that is why we have decided to make this memory, which is basically around threads rather than directly messages on a particular channel. So yeah, that is why we have done this. Now to show you the code for this, I can actually show our agent code. So you can see this is a normal LangChain agent object and agent class, and this we are basically initializing the same. And you can see here, this is a function called create Slack agent with tools. We give it the tool configuration, and we also give a Slack memory history. So if I go to this function, this actually uses this class. This is a class type, And in fact, if I show you here, this is the Slack message history variable, and it is calling this Slack chat history class, passing in these parameters to get the Slack conversation. And for each, so this thread TS is the ID of the thread that you're talking about. So we only want to get information about one particular thread or the messages sent on one particular Slack thread conversation. So we just have to pass this along with these extra information which is used to authorize the request, the API call itself, right? Now, if I go in within this class, this is another class. Actually, this has more details about how to get all those messages and how to format in the right format which LangChain understands, which is basically uses something like a human message template, AI message template. So it uses those things, and finally it gets this messages, which basically returns to the Slack agent. So here you can see it returns this, and if I go to this function, it basically puts that information into the right place. So this Slack message history information is actually stored as chat history when the agent is being initialized, and that's how it basically works like a normal LangChain agent would use a conversation memory. So this is how we are doing it. And finally, so I hope this makes more sense, and even the design choice that why we used this way of implementing things, why we wanted to have a Slack based conversation, because that actually gives the right set of information for the agent to be able to answer your questions, and it has the right set of compatibility and compartmentalization of the information. Now, finally, to give you a bit more context about to learn more about this, I would recommend you guys can go and see this LangChain documentation called for customizing conversational memory. This is where we have picked it up, and it has more information about what memory is, how it works out of the box within LangChain, and how you can customize it. And that's what we have done here. We have actually customized it to basically use the conversational memory directly from Slack APIs, Slack's conversations and threads and replies APIs basically. So yeah, that's pretty much what this video is about. I hope you like it, and I'm looking forward to more of these. Thanks a lot.